Okay, so here I'm going to show you guys how to paint and whitewash your background. Whichever paint you have, whether it's in a cup or in the little baggies, you can cut the baggie and put it on your work surface or a paper plate. Sometimes I just put it right on the project itself and kind of use it as my dish, but I'm lazy like that, so. But here you can just see we're using a really dry brush. You don't want to glob the paint on, one, because it takes a really long time to dry. Two, if you're wanting that distressed look, this is really the way to go. This is kind of a fake distress without doing all the sanding and elbow work. So here I'm just getting a little bit of paint on my brush and basically just moving that paint all around the surface until my brush is basically dry again and I need more paint. So here you can see too, the lighter you go, the more distressed it's going to look. Don't worry about perfection. This is your background. Once you put your pieces on the front, it really just becomes that. It's the background. I try not to get too focused on it, just because you really don't pay any attention other than just seeing it as a whole. Is it distressed? Is it solid? That's really what people are looking at. So I just do a real light layer. Sometimes these boards kind of soak up the paint and it looks a little opaque, kind of grayish. So I'll do this coat and then I'll let it dry and kind of come in again with another coat of white. Not necessarily to make it more bold, but just kind of freshen up some of those dull areas. I just push it all over. There's really no rhyme or reason. This piece is a shiplap piece. It's got the etched shiplap lines in it. So I kind of go light on the areas around those etched lines just so that the paint doesn't get down in those grooves. If you get too much paint in those grooves, you can easily just take like your fingertip or toothpick and kind of dig it out of those. The end of your paintbrush will take it out. You just keep going. So this is just with white. So you can leave it this. If you want a little bit more of like a worn, vintagey kind of look, you'll see that I kind of go in with some black and give it a little extra distressing. This right here, the white, just real dry brushed on, looks awesome. It's one of my favorite. If you want to go, just a little bit more worn, more vintage, you can add the black dry brushing in. Sometimes people are scared of the black dry brushing, but it's if you mess up, you let it dry and you paint over it. It's really not that big of a deal. But here I am going to add the dark. So I'm kind of adding a little bit the second coat of white, so it's still pretty tacky. It's not all the way dry when I put this dark on. This is a different way of how we dry brush. So if you've taken a class with me before, this is a little bit different. This gives you more of like a dimensional distress. You can kind of see it, the colors kind of muddled together. So if you've taken a class with me before, it's definitely different than when we take like the dry black brush and kind of do it on the edges and like every once in a while. This is kind of a unique way, doing everything while the paint is wet. Okay, so I'm looking for my black is really what I'm doing. Needed black. So I take the same brush, get just a tiny bit of black, kind of dab off that extra. You can kind of see it really doesn't take much. So just kind of real lightly go in with lines. See that dark spot? I didn't do it intentionally, but I'm glad I did do it because you'll see if you do a big spot like that, it's super simple to kind of wipe out. Go back over it. Go back over it. You can grab a little bit of white paint too. Yep, see I'm grabbing some white paint. And I'm just going to kind of lighten it up a little bit. Again, this is the background. Don't worry about making it perfect. We focus on it, and once all the pieces go on the front, it really just blends into the back. So here I'm actually using my gloved hand to rub everything together. Kind of gives it a unique, like, distress. Kind of just a dimensional look. And this looks really good on those truck Four Seasons.